Hello and welcome back to my channel. If not back, then just welcome. And whether it's your first or 50th time here, thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking about the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint and their Stretch Concealer and one of their new shades, G5. Recently, Glossier expanded the shade range, hallelujah, on their skincare products. They now come in 12 shades and I have one of the newer ones. The first half of this video is going to be me demonstrating and reviewing the product, and the second half is going to be me talking about how I felt they did with the new shade expansion. So if either of those things sound interesting to you, stay tuned. Before I go ahead and get into this makeup, I want to show you guys the three shades that I have compared next to each other. So here are the three shades. This is the Old Dark shade. This is the Old Deep shade. As you can see, neither this one nor that one would work. This is middle shade. Here is the new G5 shade, the new golden shade. And those are the three shades of the concealer blended out. I don't have the skin tint in either of these shades here because, as you can see, the tone was super off, so I wouldn't want to put that all over my face. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into this demonstration of the products. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the deep shade and I'm going to spot conceal on the lower half of my face. This part of my face is darker than the rest of my face, and using a concealer that's too light down here just makes me go gray. So even though the shade is too rich, I would rather have a too rich shade than a too light shade. And I'm not sure how much is picking up on camera, but in person you can definitely see the difference in color. Once I go over it with the skin tint though, it balances it out. I have tried using the G5 shade on this portion of my face and it's just too light. And then up here, I am going to use the new G5 shade. I really like this concealer because it has the perfect amount of everyday coverage. I don't like anything that ever looks too heavy or too masky for my everyday use. It also has a great emollients and dewiness that really mimics like a skin-like finish, especially for someone like me who is oily. And it seems counterintuitive to use such an emollient product on my oily skin, but I'm taking G5 and putting it underneath my eyes now. But the way that this product wears throughout the day is very graceful. It's not very shiny or clumpy. It doesn't make me look like it's pooling in any of the places where I get very oily. It just kind of creases a little bit, and it's nothing that I can't pat out with my finger. I have yet to find a concealer that doesn't crease underneath my very dry, very crepey under eye, so I'm not too concerned about it. This is definitely my go-to everyday concealer. Highly recommend this concealer. Next is the Perfecting Skin Tint. Now, I have a video where I reviewed all of the Glossier products that I had tried. I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I talked cash shit about this product. I did not like it. I don't remember if they had reformulated at the time of my filming and I hadn't tried it, or they hadn't reformulated it yet, but the old formula of this foundation, I guess you could say, was basura, was not for me. I hated it. The new formula, however, I have tried and I really like it. I was pleasantly surprised when I tried the new formulation. The things that I didn't like about the old formula was that it was very greasy. It was just kind of like, I was calling it a lip gloss for your face. Like, it just made me shiny. It did not make me dewy. It didn't really help even out my skin tone, especially because at the time there wasn't a shade for me. I did their color matching thing online. They had this feature where you took a picture and then they recommended a shade for you, and it recommended dark for me. You want to talk about looking casket ready. But this new formula is more of a satin skin-like finish. Like, it's not dewy. This leaves a healthy glow to the skin, but it doesn't like overly saturate you and just like slickness. And I feel like it does a really good job of evening out the skin tone. Now, like all of Glossier's products, they are more translatable in person than they are on camera. I don't know how much this is going to show in camera, but in person it just looks like I have really good skin. There is a blurring property in the skin tint in this reformulated one that I really noticed that I didn't notice in the first one. The first one really enhanced my pores. I have hella texture. Now the only thing that I don't like about this guy here is the price. It is $26 for a fluid ounce, 30 milliliters. So you're getting about the same amount of product that you get in all of your like traditional foundations. But the job that it does for the price, I don't necessarily think it's worth it. If this were like $15, I would have no hesitation recommending it. But it's something that I can afford. I'm glad that I picked it up because it has been my go-to everyday just put it on and go foundation base product. The concealer is $18, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I have yet to find a product that has the skin-like finish of this but with coverage still. Everything is still peeking through a little bit, but everything looks more faded. Like I said earlier, it just looks like I have really good skin, which is what I expect from Glossier. Their motto is skin first, makeup second, so it's not going to make you look super made up. It is just going to enhance what you already have going on. So now I'm going to finish up my makeup, and then I'll be back to talk about how I feel Glossier did with their new shade expansion. Okay, so here is my full face. If you are interested in seeing how I got this, it will be up on my Instagram, either in my feed or my IGTV. Haven't quite decided yet because I don't know how long it's going to be once I edit it. But anyway, either way, if you're interested in seeing how I got this look, check out my description box down below because a link to my Instagram will be there. So okay, so now on to my thoughts and concerns about this Glossier shade expansion release situation. So on the one hand, I am so happy that they expanded the shade range. That was what I have been wanting from them for a long time because I've loved their stretch concealer for a long time. I was tired of mixing the two shades together. The more shades you have to buy, the more expensive it gets. And then the likelihood of you being able to use it before it goes bad slims down because you're mixing two products together instead of just using one product. So it just is less cost effective when you have to mix shades. So I am glad that they expanded. However, so on this side of the screen, I'm going to be scrolling through the new shade range. They're like shade finder tool or whatever, and like commentating on it. So the first thing that I really like is that they have the darkest shade listed as G1. The first brand that I've seen do that is Beauty Bakery, and I just really like it because there's really no rule. There's really no reason why we always categorize the lighter shade as the first shade. This just shows that they are prioritizing their black and brown customers. There's like this psychological thing that happens when you are the last shade. You feel like an afterthought, especially when they release more shades and they keep tacking it onto the end. It's like you aren't their first consideration. So the fact that they have their darkest shade as their first shade is top notch to me. Now as I'm scrolling, I'm seeing a nice variation in tone, and then I get to the G4 G5 gap. That's a huge jump. It's not very gradient. Before it was seeming very gradient, definitely taking all the shades of brown into consideration, and then the jump from G4 to G5, it's like they completely forgot about a large swath of the population. Like, I'm gonna put this in Fenty terms because I really truly feel like this wouldn't happen. These sort of shade expansions wouldn't happen if Fenty didn't exist. So It's like they jump from, let's say, 360 to 410. That's not okay. Because between 360 and 410 in Fenty, you have like 5 shades of foundation, and that covers a large population of people. So that's still another swath of people. Swath, is that a word? I don't know, I said it though. That aren't going to be able to use the shade. I'm going back to scrolling. Everything's looking cool. Everything's looking cool. I'm seeing another jump. G8 to G9 also seems like a bit of a jump. Maybe it's just an undertone situation, but the people that are modeled for G8 still seem very like rich in tone compared to the people in G9. So I can't help but feeling that there's a gap there too. I can't speak on what shades I feel like are missing because I don't normally look at makeup in this shade range. So, and then back to scrolling. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking good. So there are those 2 jumps where it just feels like there's a large swath of people that, let me stop saying swath because I don't even know if that's a word. There's a large group of people that may not be able to use this product. Now, where I think that stems from is the lack of visibility for black and brown people who don't do glam makeup. I was talking to one of my Insta friends, Erin. Hey girl, I will have her beauty Instagram in the description box as well. She has a clean beauty Instagram with beautiful images, super thorough reviews, but trying to find her shade is nearly impossible in all of the brands that she wants to try because companies don't think that darker complected people want to participate in no makeup, clean beauty, all of that. We are still an afterthought in that specter of the beauty world, and it is great to see all of these companies being more inclusive, branching out more in their shade range, which for Glossier personally, I couldn't do this video without mentioning the Instagram account Glossier Brown and Devin, the founder of that page. Like, I really, really do not think that Glossier would have considered branching out if she hadn't created that page, because that gave visibility to all of the brown and black people who are using Glossier products. With all that being said, my girl Erin still doesn't have a shade. And now I know it seems nitpicky, especially for a product that has such sheer coverage, but when you have a tint, the undertone and the shade I feel like almost matters a little bit more since it is mimicking your skin. I know for me anyway, when I was using dark, I just looked sallow and sick. And then when I was using deep, I looked jaundiced because it was just too orange. So hopefully this is just the beginning of Glossier expanding their color shade. I would love to see at least just, maybe 2 or 3 more shades. Maybe there are other people of other complexions that still cannot find their tone. Even for me, I know, give me 2 weeks of good sun and G5 isn't going to work for me anymore, and G4 is still going to be too dark. So I would say that this is a beautiful start, but it is definitely nowhere to end. Unlike this video, which has ended. Before I go, I do want to mention real quick that I did apply to be a Sephora Squad influencer. I'm very, very nervous. I know that I aced the essay portion of it. Essentially, I aced the application, but my reach is small, and I appreciate every single one of you. I say all the time, I would rather have a small genuine connection than have millions of people following me and I'm just sitting by myself talking to y'all instead of with y'all. So however, with all that being said, if you could just take a moment and follow yet another link in the description box and leave me a testimonial, that would mean the world to me. I have a place in this beauty community atmosphere situation, and would just love to be able to service you guys even more, be even more helpful to you guys. And I know with an opportunity like being on the Sephora squad, hashtag Sephora squad, that would make me even more, you know, helpful for y'all. So okay, now I'm for real done. For real done. As always, if you have made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Till next time, bye folks.